version of the two Ronnies. Or the wine, the Vinous female version of the two Ronnies. Because that's Lynne and me this evening, so it's good evening from me.
Good evening from me.
Good evening and welcome. My name's Charlotte Hay. I'm a director of the drinks business, and I am delighted to welcome you all here this evening to this, the inaugural celebration of the Winemakers Winemaker of the Year, created by ourselves, the drinks business, and the Institute of Masters of Wine. I must say that I speak on behalf of both the Institute and ourselves, that we're delighted to be able to celebrate this occasion here at ProWein. It's such a great fair, and I'd like to congratulate Danila and her team for such a successful show. I think the first 48 hours have been great, and thank you also to ProWein and to Messe Düsseldorf for their support in making this event and this celebration possible. The drinks business has really enjoyed a fantastic relationship with the Institute of Masters of Wine over the years, and we have already created an award which is our Lifetime Achievement Award, but now we're very excited about this new accolade. As publishers and as an industry institution, we feel, both the Institute and ourselves, that it is imperative that we recognise those in our industry who are excelling, who are really pushing the envelope, as people like to say, and promoting innovation. In this vein, we have created the Winemakers Winemaker, a sort of loosely based award that follows the Footballer of the Year, but not, we're trying to be a bit more serious about it. We've asked prominent winemakers from across the globe, and I really mean that. We've talked to a lot of key people, winemakers, top winemakers in all of the main continents in the world, and asked them to tell us who exactly they felt was their number one choice. Who was the person who had really excelled, who had really made a difference, and made the wines that made them smack their lips. We've had some fantastic nominations, and the competition was, as you would imagine, on a worldwide level, very, very strong. However, we hope you will agree that we've a most worthy winner here with us this evening to accept the award. Before I hand over to Lynne, Chair of the Institute of Masters of Wine, I'd like to thank those who have supplied the wine this evening and made it such a happy event. Thank you very much to Esther Hazy for their Merlot single crew, and also to Schloss Volrads for the Riesling. Bollinger, of course, are sponsors of the Institute, and I hope you all enjoy the glass at the beginning. Thank you very much anyway to Roald and Elizabeth. I'm going to hand over to Lynne now, and I'd like to congratulate our winner, because I really feel that he is a worthy person to accept the award. Thank you very much. Enjoy the evening.
Thanks very much, Charlotte. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a huge amount of pleasure to present this award, which, as Charlotte has said, is the inaugural Winemakers Winemaker of the Year award on behalf of both the drinks business and the Institute of Masters of Wine. I have spent a long time writing this to try and draw it out as far as I can without you guessing who the recipient is.
Sorry.
The recipient of the award is a man who grew up in the cooler climes of Northern Europe, in what was then a non-wine producing country. Although this has changed a little bit since the recent effects of climate change. His family taught him strong values and the power of honesty and especially humility, the latter being, for me and for many others, one of several reasons that he's receiving this award today. His journey in wine has taken him from his homeland to many, many parts of the globe. Some of the places, Simi Winery in California, the Grave region of France, then to Spain, and then as recently as 2010, a new venture in Saint-Emilion, not too far where some of his career began. I know one shouldn't really give away the age of a gentleman, but as he was born in 1952, that sort of indicates a pretty big birthday coming up next year, so I wouldn't mind an invitation. There are not many winemakers who get a job working for someone as wonderful as Paul Draper at Ridge Winery in California, and then, having got the job, have to phone up and say, I'm terribly sorry I have to turn down this job because one of my family members needs me very, very urgently to help out at a wine estate in Spain. He has an uncle who's his mentor and who has spent his own life dedicated to wine. So, of course, I had to get some inside information, and Julie called him up, or emailed him and said, please could you give me a story about our recipient, which will be amusing. And he said, my nephew reminded me of the story just a short while ago. So he and his nephew were having lunch with a wine merchant in Bordeaux, just as the 1982 Chateau Mouton had been released. The uncle ordered 25 cases of the wine. He's obviously quite wealthy. And then as the party was leaving, after one might assume was quite a boozy lunch, his nephew asked the merchant if he could also buy a significant amount of this wine. Nothing too much was said, but the merchant rang his uncle the next day to ask, was your nephew serious about buying the Mouton, or was he just drunk? Oh, undoubtedly he was drunk, said his uncle. The fact was actually that the award winner that we're speaking of did have the money for the cases, but missed out on the Mouton totally. However, don't worry. When your uncle opens his last case, he has sworn that you will be there with him to share it. Have you got a clue? Don't all shout at once. Our recipient's current wine history dates back to 1995, which was the first vintage produced on the estate in the region where he lives today. Two things happened that seriously shaped and affected the fortunes of our recipient. In 1996, Robert Parker rated the maiden vintage from that particular estate 96 points and actually declared this is one of the greatest and most exciting wines I've ever tasted. Then something else interesting happened in 1997. With only 325 cases of this very scarce wine having been made, the ship that was carrying the allocated 75 cases sank off the Azores in the Atlantic. One might think, if one didn't know the recipient better, that this was some pretty dramatic marketing action. But of course the shipwreck resulted in a pretty dramatic reaction in the United States market, with the price and the scarcity value rising very dramatically. Our recipient is quiet some of the time. He has been known to argue with journalists on occasion. He's thoughtful, insightful, and very, very single-minded and focused when it comes to wine. Having fallen in love with the Tempranillo grape in Spain, and in particular in Ribera del Duero, the first plot of land that he purchased was 5 hectares of very old bush vines in the village of Laura. He's very committed to the vineyards and is known to be somewhat fanatical about his dedication to older vines, which is a trait I think is admirable in today's times. He committed himself to organics right from the beginning, used incredible measures to prop up old vines, and then from 2001 took a further step of going biodynamic. I personally find this quite unbelievable based on the fact that he could probably sell at least 20 and maybe 200 times more wine than he produces, and that biodynamics is one of the things that causes a lot of extra work in the vineyards, as we know. Ladies and gentlemen, the wine that sank off the Azores in 1997 was Pingus. The humility of Pingus's creator knows absolutely no bounds. His CV, which didn't even take a half a page, doesn't end with the words, "My first wine got 96 points from Robert Parker," but ends with the words, "Peter Sisseck lives on a farm in Ribera del Duero." It is therefore the hugest amount of honor and pride that we present the inaugural Winemakers Winemaker of the Year to the Dane in Spain, Peter Sisseck.
Thank you very much, Charlotte and Lynn. You've really been studying, huh? maybe it was too brief, my CV, but anyways. It's unbelievable standing here. I should mention, being a Dane and making wine in Spain is not the most usual. But here I am. It's fantastic, and thank you very much. But thank you to Peter Winding and Susan, who started the whole thing. And thank you to everybody who likes wine, because this is what we make, and it's fantastic living off the land and try to make something really special. That's what we try to do, and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you very much.